Jared Leto has been cast as Morbius the Living Vampire. That's right. This guy's gonna star in a standalone Spider-Man spin-off film as Dr. Morbius. In this video, I want to break it down, why I think this is a good idea, what it might mean for the Sony Marvel universe, and just in general, what we can expect out of a Morbius movie. We're doing all that right now. What's up, everybody? My name is Josh. This is, of course, the Den of Nerds. If you love comic book movies the way I do, subscribe to this channel because we talk about those movies over here. All right, so let's get into this. This was reported by Deadline. Yes, Jared Leto is going to be starring as Morbius the Living Vampire in a standalone Spider-Man spinoff. This is very similar to what Sony is doing with the Venom movie. We're going to talk about all of that in just a second, but first I want to fill people in on exactly who Morbius is. He's a character from the comics, and he was also very popular on the 90s Spider-Man cartoon show, so you might be familiar with him from there. But he's essentially a doctor who was trying to cure a rare blood disease that he had, and he ends up giving himself the powers of a vampire, and yet he's still alive, which is why they call him the Living Vampire. He's not the living dead, he's just a living vampire. Now, Morbius does go on to become sort of an anti-hero, and he's even joined some certain teams and fighting crime and fighting off, big bads and different things like that. And it really feels like that's the direction Sony wants to go with this movie. I mean, after all, I think that's kind of what they're doing with the Venom movie as well, sort of turning him into an anti-hero. Otherwise, I'm really confused on who the protagonist is going to be in that Venom movie. Seriously, why is Spider-Man just not in that movie? But we'll get to that in just a second. Now, as far as the film itself, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about here. I mean, first of all, it is going to be directed by Daniel Espinosa, who is really on a roll right now. He did the sci-fi movie Life last year. He also did a film called Safe House. He's really hot in Hollywood right now. Seems like a good creative director, so it's cool that he will be attached to it. And the two writers that are working on this project are Burke Sharpless and Matt Sazama, who were the two writers that did the Lost in Space series for Netflix. I personally really like that series, so I'm pumped that these guys are involved with the project. Now, on top of all of that, there were reports that came out that Leto had actually met with the writers and the director while he was on tour with his band. And so he literally met with these people, had a nice meeting, a sit down, wanted to see where their creative vision was for this character and for this franchise, and decided to sign on for it. Now, the big question for a lot of people out there is like, what does this mean for the DC films? I mean, we thought we were getting a Jared Leto Joker movie, perhaps even Jared Leto's Joker with Harley Quinn in a Joker Harley movie, and in general, we just expected to see more of Jared Leto over there on the DC side of things. But does this move maybe mean that's not the case? I mean, after all, there's a lot of confusion with the Joker movie in general. We had the Todd Phillips Joker movie, which is said to be an origin, which does not have the Jared Leto Joker in it. There are actually other Joker movies in production right now that might not have the Jared Leto Joker in the film as well. On top of all of that, with AT&T coming in and buying Time Warner, there's probably going to be a big shuffle of people in charge over there at Warner Brothers. So, man, there's a lot of confusing stuff. In my opinion, this was a move by Leto to sort of distance himself from a messy situation and join into something that's a little bit safer. Even though this is Sony and not strictly Marvel, being associated with the Kevin Feige, being associated with that Spider-Man character, and just having the Marvel branding on it is probably a much better move for him. Now, as far as the casting itself, I think he will absolutely kill it. I think Jared Leto is an incredible actor, and even though I wasn't a huge fan of the way he decided to take the Joker character, you can't deny that he went all in on that. I mean, he's a method actor. There's all these weird reports about him sending dead animals and anal beads and weird things like that to other co-stars on the set. Apparently, Will Smith really hated him, wanted to punch him in the face several times, which, I don't know, this just kind of seems awesome to me, really. I've really enjoyed him in a lot of different things, including that weird Netflix film that he did. I thought it was great in Blade Runner 2049. So, I mean, I think the dude's got incredible chops, and on top of that, he kind of already looks like a vampire. So I'm really excited to see not only what he brings to to the role, but what kind of method techniques he does to stay in the zone of being a vampire. Man, we're gonna get a lot of crazy set photos and a lot of interesting stories from behind the scenes as he tries to become Morbius for this film. Now, while all of this seems really great, it still brings us back to the inevitable question about what exactly is Sony doing here? I mean, the Venom movie is confusing itself, and although that trailer is one of the most viewed trailers of all time, and a lot of people are anticipating that film, there's the big question of what, if anything, Spider-Man will have to do with that movie, and not just that movie, but on and on, other films like that. Now, the Silver and Black film was just taken off the slate, but apparently this new Morbius movie feels like they're still taking this route. It still feels like they are trying to build out this universe for Peter Parker. And I guess in some ways we're going to have to wait till Venom to see what exactly the plan is. Maybe there's some kind of a connection between the Spider-Man character that Marvel doesn't want to talk about, that Sony also doesn't want to talk about. I'm holding out hope that Tom Holland is in these movies. It would just make a lot of sense to me. I mean, how can you have the rogues gallery for Spider-Man without Spider-Man? It just feels really weird. It kind of feels like Sony is taking this approach to these movies where they really just go after like great Hollywood talent and try to just make a kick-ass movie. And so, you know, you look at a guy like Ruben Fleischer, you look at a guy like Tom Hardy, you look at the talent that's involved with that film, and it feels very Hollywood, not necessarily comic book Hollywood. It's not like the MCU, but it just feels like a bunch of A celebrities, a bunch of really A-level creatives, and they all formulate this super team to make this great movie. I mean, you could look to maybe Logan as another example of something like this. I mean, obviously, you know, doing the Western style, having James Mangold really put his stamp on that film, made it something truly special. And if that is what Sony's trying to do, sort of set up genre pictures that are good in of themselves, but also lead us to maybe a place where we have Spider-Man mess around with all these villains, I'm all for that. I'm just really skeptical about what they can do in a Spider-Man universe, in a series of Spider-Man spin-off films, if they're not actually going to use the Spider-Man character. So I want to open up the question to you guys. What do you think about this news? You think Jared Leto's a great choice? Are you excited we're getting a Morbius the Living Vampire film? Or are you really concerned and you're worried about what Sony's doing and you're going to freak out if Spider-Man is not in these movies? Whatever your thoughts are on the story, let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a conversation about this. Now I need to shout out Jeffrey Colsar, who got the nerd card question correct in my Star Wars video from yesterday. You definitely know your stuff when it comes to Star Wars, so shout out to you, Jeffrey. And I want to go ahead and do another nerd card question right now. And the question is, what is Dr. Morbius's first name? This was something that maybe is etched into your mind if you watch the cartoon because they say it over and over again. But the question remains, what is Dr. Morbius's or Morbius the Living Vampire's first name? Answer that question in the comment section below. You can click below to watch more dope videos. You can click our icon to subscribe to get all of our future content. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you in the next video.